This episode was brought to you by the Secret Society of Adored Women.
Have you been tirelessly going on crap-tastic dates, having crap-tastic results with men, even spending a crap-tastic amount of time weeding through meh guys and fretting over the one who won't call you back or commit?
Join us for our Hush Hush group of like-minded, successful, badass single women from around the world, turning the dating scene on its head and creating scandalously magical romantic experiences that you will cherish forevermore.
But beware, your love life and life will never be the same again.
Meet us over at thesecretsocietyofAdoredWomen.com.
You are listening to Single Smart Female.
This is Jen,
And Jen,
letting it all hang out for your love life.
examining your dating experiences and answering your hot topic dating questions.
Just you and us. Jen squared. No topic is off limits and no filters involved.
We are here to help you do dating on your terms.
If you have a question you would like us to answer or would like to immediately upgrade your love life with our collection of classes and exclusive merchandise, meet us over now at singlesmartfemale.com. Hello, my loyal, single, smart female listeners. I'm doing my queen wave, although you can't see it right now. My loyal subjects. I'm just messing with you. It is Jen, your romantic fairy godmama, coming to you today with a single, smart female listener question. This listener question comes from Miss Managing Positive Male Attention. And Miss Managing Positive Male Attention writes, "Hi Jen, I love your podcast. I've been following it for a while now, and I wanted to ask about a subject that I had not heard you speak on in a previous episode. I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on managing positive male attention. I was interested by your advice to look guys in the eye, and it brought up some questions. To explain, I find that guys fall head over heels for me, but not necessarily quality men. I find attention overwhelming since I'm a private person. I love the life that I've carved out for myself, financially independent, living abroad, kick-ass sports and volunteer hobbies, spiritual life, friends, etc. I often wonder why it is I don't have a boyfriend, and I come back to the fact that I am too overwhelmed by male attention to date, let alone mantourage date. My friends tease me that I am a heartbreaker, so I've stopped dating for the past couple of years. Guys want to wife me, and that's so far from what I want at this stage of my life. But I wouldn't mind a soft place to land with a guy sometimes. There's too much noise from overwhelming guys that there isn't room for someone less obvious to shine through. My question is, how can I attract more of the quality men I want who approach me more slowly so that I'm less overwhelmed? How can I mantourage date without feeling like a tease? What's the difference between mantourage dating and leading guys on when you're not looking for something serious? How can I stop the overwhelming advances from guys that are so love-struck before getting to know me? And before you suggest that I make the first move on guys that I'm interested in my experience, guys don't really like this. I'm quite introverted, so it feels unlike me to ask a guy on a date and take charge. I've been deep diving on this for a long time, but have yet to see what I can do better. I'm so looking forward to your thoughts and suggestions. Smiley face. Okay, Miss Managing Positive Male Attention. Thank you for giving me lots to dive into. There's a lot of great stuff here. And first, I'm going to say there is almost always something that we can all do better. Whether or not you should focus on it is another question, but I'm going to say for you, yes, there's a lot that you can do better here. And we're going to talk about that today. So I want to start with something that reached out and grabbed me when you first said it. And I want to let you know, and all my single smart females know something. When you go to people to ask them for your help, don't tell them necessarily what doesn't work, okay? Yes, you can reference yourself that maybe it hasn't been successful for you yet to date, but for instance, you said, I wasn't going to suggest this, but I'm actually going to suggest it now because of the fact that you brought it up, and obviously you have a lot of fear surrounding it. And you said, and before you suggest I make the first move on guys that I'm interested in my experience, guys don't really like this. Well, your experience is jaded because you don't really like this and probably aren't good at it. And by the way, you can be a private, introverted person and still be really good at this. It's not just for extroverted women who enjoy this. You can learn to become good at something that at the beginning you don't like because you fear it. And again, I'm going to suggest when you do go to people to get help with stuff, there's two things. Now, if you're just approaching somebody to listen to you, always say, look, I'm not looking for any feedback, but I would like to share something with you. Okay? And then the second thing is if you are asking specifically, don't tell them what advice they can't give you, especially just because it's based on your experience. Just because there's a whole world of experience that exists in dating and love that most women don't know and most women don't get. And they come here and one of the two things happens. They hear what they either need to hear or they hear what they want to hear. So women who come here with an open mind and an open heart are going to get so much more listening to this podcast and really start to learn how they can do things differently in their love life so they can change the trajectory of love in their life forever. And then I have women who come here and they want to justify how they're already behaving and they miss so much. So they'll take my words and they'll take pieces of it instead of the whole picture and end up making themselves even more miserable. I suspect you're in between those two, and so we're going to work with that today. So again, when you go to somebody, make sure you aren't telling them exactly what the entire world experience is, especially if they have a very different experience of it. And I have a very different experience of what you're saying about making the first move with guys. I know lots of adored women who make the first move, and guys love it, love it. All men? No, all men do not absolutely 100% love it. But if they're extremely excited about you, it's okay. It's definitely okay. So I am going to suggest that you should definitely consider that and learn to become good at that when you need to be. Is it something you have to do all the time? No, absolutely not. But since you're so scared of it, it definitely needs to be on your agenda to learn how to do. Okay. So your real question is, how can I attract more of the quality men I want who approach me more slowly so that I am less overwhelmed? And there's really a bigger picture here that you've touched on but haven't connected. The reason why you have so much unwanted male attention is because you've connected to a piece of yourself of being desired that a lot of women haven't. All women can be desired by lots of men, which is why it's really, truly easy when you understand this to build a mantourage. But in your instance, because you find attention overwhelming and learning to manage attention overwhelming, you get aggravated if the guy doesn't look or act exactly the way you want to right at the beginning because you're so overwhelmed with it. When you learn how to manage male attention properly and you become comfortable with it, a lot of the attention will start to fade away and just the right amount of attention will come up. But we always think that we're afraid of rejection. The average woman is just really, really, truly afraid of rejection. Like that's the worst thing that can happen in dating and love is the huge rejection and potential heartbreak. Those are the two really, really big things. But truthfully, as women, there's a part of us that knows how much we can be desired and how much we can be adored and all those things. And we're actually scared of the bigger picture because managing male attention feels like you're having golf balls thrown at your head. Not managing male attention. Not managing male attention and having all that attention feels like you're having golf balls thrown at your head constantly. And that shit hurts. So either you feel like you're disappointing men all the time, or you feel like you're leading them on, or you can't even function because there's too much shit going on at one time. When you learn how to manage male attention, again, two things are going to happen. Anything you're afraid of like this is going to keep showing up frequently, and anything you're really uncomfortable with because you're being asked to get comfortable with it. So two things are going to happen. When you understand and you decide to fully step into my adored woman world, everything is going to change. You're going to learn how to become comfortable with managing male attention. As you become comfortable, that non-wanted attention will either transform into wanted attention or to fall away. Those are the two things that happen when you really get comfortable with managing male attention, learning how to set good boundaries. Another thing that happens quite frequently with women is they don't have the verbal communication skills to set the boundaries that they want. And when they do set a boundary, quote unquote, they feel guilty about it. So you have an emotional concussion for standing up for yourself. By the way, all this is stuff that we've been learning and conditioning we've had for years and years. Women are some of the most passive-aggressive people to exist. Now, can men be passive-aggressive? Of course they can. But women, this is a fucking art form, and it's one I'm personally tired of witnessing, especially in women. And it really, really bothers me because even the smartest, most ambitious of women do this shit with their friends, and they do this shit with men instead of learning how to manage male attention, ask for what they want, set good boundaries, improve communication skills, learn how to say what they want. Men feel appreciated at the same time. That's an art form in itself, one that I'm very good at. And if you're interested in learning more how to do it, go to mantouragedating.com for a free 3-day class with me. And just learning also that male attention doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can actually be very enjoyable because we as women, even though we're spending a lot of time, especially successful women, in the world of, in a very male-dominated energy of working hard, succeeding, all that kind of stuff, truthfully, underneath that, we love to be desired, especially by the right men. So when we comfortably learn how to step into that piece of us and allow that very feminine piece to unfold, it's all game-changing in your love life, because then as you're learning these different skills, learning how to do this comfortably, practicing it, because anything that becomes comfortable only becomes comfortable if you practice it. If you don't practice it, if you do it one time, it doesn't become comfortable. That's why it's important to learn the skill set, use the skill set, and allow it to become part of who you are. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to change fundamentally. These are pieces of yourself that you can actually, are born in you, but you've never really truly given birth to. And being comfortable with men, all men, regardless if they like you or not, is going to be incredibly helpful. And as you learn to manage male attention positively, like you mentioned, then all of a sudden, the men that are already giving you this attention, you'll recognize how amazing they are, or other men will step into the picture. Okay, these not quality men that you're talking about, they may not necessarily be quality men because I don't know them, but I also know that a lot of women dismiss men and say that they're not quality because ultimately they're really scared of being in love and having the love life that they want. We as women can scream from the mountaintops, how brave we are, how accomplished we are, how smart we are because we have, 2 masters and 3 PhDs. We can do all that, but most of us are truly scared when it comes to love and romance. We live in other people's fear about it. We foster a society where it's more prevalent to talk about the shit-ass dates that we had and bitch about those and bitch about men than it is to celebrate all the amazing things happening in our lives. That's what we do as women. And that has to stop. It has to stop. That's the noise that has to stop first. And then the other noise that you were talking about from overwhelming guys, if you start really truly asking for what you want with them and being clear in your communication and fun in your communication, And you're going to see that either some of those guys they were diamonds in the rough that maybe you didn't notice, like my husband was, or somebody else is going to step in. There is room, okay? The only room that there isn't, that you don't have, is where you are hitting your resistance and playing small romantically. Also, I'm going to give you a little piece of managing male attention. So you're talking about these guys that get love struck before they've actually, had time to get to know you. One of the things that women are very uncomfortable with is just saying, hey, I'd like the opportunity to get to know you, but I have to take this very slowly I'm not comfortable. That's a great phrase. And then what I've said repeatedly in different podcasts is, I'm not comfortable with going that quickly. And if a guy still is overwhelming after you make that statement, then you know that's not the right guy. Okay, one of the things that really concerns me that you mentioned is that you stopped dating because your friends have called you a heartbreaker and have teased you about that. What's really important to note here is that if you truly want to become an adored woman, if you truly want to learn how to mantourage date, you can't let the world dictate how you show up in your romantic life. Okay? You may have historically had some, what look like teasing moments because you easily get men to fall in love with you and you don't necessarily reciprocate. But that doesn't mean that you're supposed to stop dating. That doesn't mean that you're supposed to shut down. We have to, as women, really stop letting our friends and our family members dictate our love lives. Okay? Just because somebody tells you over and over again you should be married by 30, 35, blah, 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 doesn't mean that that's necessarily what's true for you. We as women have to understand that we get to construct our love lives the way that we want to, which is the beauty of the mantourage dating experience when done correctly, because you get to experience so many different things that you'll finally figure out what it is you truly want. And I'm going to tell you, although it's definite and from your submission that you, just like you said, you don't know exactly what you want right at this moment, except for you'd like to take things slowly, mismanaging positive male attention. Majority of women, even if they think they know exactly what they want, don't truly have a clue because they have no idea what's really on the buffet. And the things that they think are on the buffet it's a very skewed idea of what is possible with men because they've had some bad experiences. And a lot of the bad experiences, it doesn't result just from meeting quote unquote bad men. It actually results a lot from how we show up in reference to men. So I really want you to consider that all of this can change for you. And it can change very easily if you're willing to face your big fears. Big fear number one, learning how to manage this attention, okay? Learning what to do with it. Stop taking your friends' perception of who you are just because you are feeling out what the romantic realm means to you and taking a different path than, say, they are. Okay, and you said, what's the difference between mantourage dating and leading guys on when you're not looking for something serious? Again, the beauty of mantourage dating is that you get to do this your way, on your terms. Now, if he doesn't agree with your terms, then he can step off. So, for instance, if he says, what are you looking for? The correct answer is, right now, I'd like to get to know you, but I honestly can't say what I'm looking for in a relationship quite yet. That is powerful. It is okay to be in that place. I love that place. I love working with women in that place because we have so much fun and so many options. And it's awesome that you already have this kind of attention because the attraction, convincing a woman sometimes is more tedious that she has these attraction powers is more tedious sometimes than taking a woman who has all the attraction and then teaching her that things can be different. I will say, though, and learning how to manage male attention, I will say, though, sometimes the outcome that you have right now, this type of woman who has all this attention, she tends to revert back to her old patterns more easily. So although it's initially easier to teach a woman how to manage male attention versus teaching a woman that she has this power of attraction within her if she's willing to unleash it. The first one, teaching how to manage male attention with a woman who has been overwhelmed by male attention, keeping her on the path is a lot more challenging. Keeping her from reverting back to past habits is a lot more challenging. She tends to scrape her knees more easily and doesn't tend to be quite as resilient. So when you're learning how to do this, I need you to take that in consideration because you're going to have to become strong. You're going to have to develop some thick skin. You're going to have to learn how to not only develop thick skin in order to make this as enjoyable as possible, which those two actually go together very, very well. And wrapping this up, let's discuss how do you mantourage a date without feeling like a tease. So we're going to tie it back to what your friends say. You are letting your friends dictate how you feel. And you have to remember that. You have to learn how to practice something differently, and you have to change your mindset around it, okay? There are things I have done in my life that are very different from what my friends, my family, or even mainstream has said that is socially acceptable. And it didn't feel acceptable to me at the beginning until I practiced it over and over, and at the same time, practice resetting my mindset around it and understanding that women who have the most incredible lives don't follow status quo. Okay? They don't follow what mainstream tells them is the acceptable way to live. They figure out what is important to them, and they go to the people that have the things that they want in their life, and they study with them. They learn from them. They co-create with them in their own life. And the biggest thing, one thing I want all of my single smart females to understand is that becoming an adored woman is a process of courage. Yes, you are going to have to leave behind mainstream ideas. You are going to have friends and family who don't get what you're doing, and so you don't even have to share it if you don't want to. You are going to have to understand that society is screaming at you all the time. Play it safe. Settle. You can do this if you're just willing to give up who you are and figure out men and sit down and shut up and do it the way we've told you to do it. And there's so many different versions of that narrative, but I'm going to tell you. And you're going to have to let it sink into your heart. And you're going to have to decide whether or not it's really for you. But there's a whole narrative out there too that smart women are the safest women. The more safe you are, the smarter you are. And that conflicts with your smart, successful self. Okay? How does that conflict? Because as you become more and more successful, say in your career and all that stuff, that you need that piece of courage where you're not playing it quite safe all the time. You don't do, you are going to be protective in certain ways, but you don't have to be so safe that you never take a chance and you keep following what mainstream or your friends or your family is telling you is a reasonable expectation of your love life. Okay, lover girl, it's time for the final thought on today's show. Quality men will show up in your love life when you decide to get out of your own way. This episode was brought to you by the Secret Society of Adored Women.
Have you been tirelessly going on crap-tastic dates, having crap-tastic results with men, even spending a craptastic amount of time weeding through meh guys and fretting over the one who won't call you back or commit?
Join us for our Hush Hush group of like-minded, successful, badass single women from around the world, turning the dating scene on its head and creating scandalously magical romantic experiences that you will cherish forevermore.
But beware, your love life and life will never be the same again.
Meet us over at thesecretsocietyofAdoredWomen.com. Hey, Lover Girl, this is Jen again. Don't forget to subscribe to the show in your favorite podcast app, as well as share Single Smart Female with all of your single smart girlfriends. And if you would like to play around and learn more about Mantourage dating, come see me at singlesmartfemale.com. Talk to you next time.